Welcome. This is a little sketchbook tour that was requested about essentially how I went about doing the illustrations for David's CD, Songs of Loss and Love. The whole project started really with this central photograph that I had taken of our little dog Poppy, and David immediately saw that and thought, that's the cover of my new CD. And so what I thought about after that was it would be very interesting, given the gravitas of the lyrics, to have this little image of Poppy, who's central here, kind of going in different life paths throughout the lyric booklet. And so first what I did was I took every photograph I had ever taken of Poppy, more or less, and just put them all into a folder so that I had some reference, as well as doing some sketches of her in our house, just as I would see her get in an interesting pose. So it all started with just this little ideas sketchbook and kind of playing around here with different media. I didn't like how busy that was going to get. I wanted it to be very simple and kind of effortless line drawings, or seemingly effortless anyhow. This again kind of captured her personality, but a bit too busy. So what you're going to see here over the next few pages are just some struggles of me trying to decide which style and which media I wanted to use. I think this is where I started to think, okay, maybe I'm getting somewhere. This one my daughter did because she does really energetic little sketches, and I wanted to see her do one. Here I'm just starting to play around with different ideas of poses that I wanted to put Poppy in for different lyrics. This isn't Kansas anymore, but ultimately we decided to do the basket, which was more representative of Wizard of Oz. This one I liked quite a bit. It had some nice energy with Poppy running in the field. This is a bit of her sassy personality. These two were both rejects immediately. And I liked this idea of Poppy in the boat at the beginning on her adventure. Initially, I thought I'd like to have a tree, but the tree became too dominant. And so I was just thinking something like this would be nicer. So this one, for Sun's Going Down, I was thinking that it would be sort of interesting to have some little Buckingham Palace kind of castle and Poppy racing along and trying to play with how I would want to do the castle to make it not too dominant, and how I would want Poppy, should she be walking or running. So I'm just playing around with different ideas here. Again, this isn't Kansas anymore, playing around with how to do a basket. I think this would take me back. I don't know all of the names of the titles. I just sort of know the songs from their lyrics. I liked this one, and this actually is the one I ended up using because I couldn't quite get that energy in the same way. So I was trying to Weary Blues, how that depicted Weary. It didn't really look good. She became too long here. This is the Pirate Poppy. Again, this for the end with walk around with Poppy walking around looking at the boats bobbing in the sea. And I'm just playing again more with the idea of composition rather than finished product. And that was pretty much it. I knew after those sketches where I wanted to go. So from there, I took some of those images that I liked and brought it to the more completed sketchbook. So it's a little bit larger, a little bit crisper. And here we're going to go through the CD with you. So this was to be the first illustration. In some ways, it's still my favorite one. I liked the expression that was captured here. And this is from the first song in the booklet, We Go Down. I think ultimately what happened with this one was there was less background noise, but I wanted it to extend throughout the whole lyric booklet. So I added a few extra lines just to give it a bit more movement and energy in the final illustration. This was a reject, actually, for The Sun's Going Down. You can see it's not the one I chose. I didn't like the look of Poppy. She looked, it was a failed. She was failed. This was too angled. This one was a reject, but this was me trying to play it out. And this one is The Song of Love, which, again, I had to extend it a little bit because I wanted it to accurately fit this space. So a lot of times what I would do is adjust the illustration slightly after it came back from our graphic designer and worked with him to make it the right size to fit the space. There's always a bit of to and fro with that, back and forth. This one was a reject. I liked it, but it was a bit too stiff. And this one was for This Isn't Kansas Anymore. I wasn't happy with it, basically. This was not the one that was used, but it was a practice one. This again was a practice for Weary Blues. As I said, it's not the one I ended up using. I did ultimately use the original one from the Ideas sketchbook. And this is the one that I ended up using for This Isn't Kansas Anymore. So if you want to A/B them, it was that or that. And I think David and I decided that she looked too happy here, and This Isn't Kansas Anymore really isn't such a happy song. So we wanted to give her a more solemn expression. For this one, Never Knowing Why, again, I liked the idea of Poppy being in the car, kiss the girl goodbye, just using imagery from the song. You can see how that one played into the final lyrics booklet. Here we have the illustration that went between Walk Around and Brand New Day. And again, this one, there was some play that we had to do with wanting it to fill the space accurately. It came close. It's not perfect, but I wanted it to fit in the lyrics nicely, fit into that space quite well. And mostly it's allusions from Walk Around and the boats bobbing in the sea. And this was from a photograph taken when we were in Cornwall. It just Poppy looking out at the sea. So it seemed an appropriate image to use. This is the one that I used on the back page. Initially, we weren't sure where we wanted to use it. And I thought once we got the graphics back, there was this little area here where there was an empty space, and I thought, well, we could thank Poppy, who was the model as well. So we shrunk that down, and it was from this image. This is from the Songs of Loss and Love. You can see it right here. And I actually wasn't crazy about some of the things that I did here. I didn't like the way these lines were angling. I wasn't crazy about the chair, but I loved the way that Poppy looked. That's how she looks when she's weary and tired. I did do another illustration, attempted illustration later that you'll see, but Poppy looked too restful and we wanted her to look just more knackered. So this was the illustration that we went with. This again was a reject, trying to get another Weary Blues, and I made her body too long, and it speaks for itself why it didn't get selected. So this is the illustration for The Sun's Going Down. And you see, again, some of those images from the sketchbook that I had been working out. You see the tree here. I liked this tree a lot. It was Rembrandt inspired. And you can see here where I was thinking of putting it on the first song. So I really wanted to include it somewhere. I put it in here. It was too busy. Really, the focal point became the tree and not the dog or the palace or the sun going down or any of that. So I redid it without the tree. And I actually liked the way Poppy looked in this one better anyhow. She was okay in both, but she seemed to have a bit more energy, like she was kind of running away. So this was the one that we went for with that final illustration. I'm actually confused now because I can't remember if this was the one that we used for This Isn't Kansas Anymore, and it wasn't. I think I liked this one, but David and Ella voted for the other one. So I liked this one, but David and Ella voted for this one for whatever reason. We wanted it to have that perfect combination for these illustrations of looking like they were sketched quickly and not too tight. I have a tendency to get very photorealistic with drawing, so to do a light sketch and make it look effortless was the challenge for this project. But this one started to get a bit too tight, and again, this one had some looser lines, and so this was the one that was chosen. And then this was the one that we didn't use, the other one for the Songs of Loss and Love. And you can see that this bit's cleaned up, the background's cleaned up, but Poppy just didn't look quite as accurate for her personality. So this is the one that we used instead. And you can see the A-B difference. And again, the choice of going for something that looked a bit messier instead of too tight and controlled. And that's it. That's how we got to the lyric booklet. Thanks for watching.
Oh, could really testify? Who could really say life promises you everything, but then it strips it all away? But these songs of loss and love carry us on, help us to be strong. Will these songs of loss and love carry us beyond, carry us beyond? It's a cold and lonesome May day in the cold and fearsome rain, to the boneyards of our memories in the land of worm and clay. She's been looking out for love in all the wrong places, looking out for God in these God-forbidding spaces. And she's searching in her madness for the ghosts that she embraces. Now she's seeing grace in the divinity of strangers. Will these songs of loss and love carry us on, carry us on? Or could these songs of loss and love help us to belong, carry us beyond? Could really testify? Who could really say if you see a double rainbow, but then those blue skies turn to gray? I was breech-born and bewildered in the land of fog and rain, where the only promise given was a world of grief and pain, unplanned for but delivered. The past just slid away. I knew I was forgetting something more than life contained. Will these songs of loss and love carry us on, teach us to be strong? Will these songs of loss and love carry us beyond, carry us beyond? There were promises that love would last forever and a day, but these simple songs of loss and love, they sweep us all away. She says, I know you see dark angels on the wing like birds of prey, but if God is in his heaven, man, I think he plans to stay. May these songs of loss and love carry us on, help us to be strong. May these songs of loss and love carry us beyond, carry us beyond.